ever feel like you're just always running, like on a treadmill, a million things to juggle, but never quite catching up? Oh,
yeah.
You're not alone.
No.
Today, we're diving deep into your thoughts on time,
Okay.
especially from that Christian perspective on, how to really make time count, not just, spend it.
Right.
You shared some really, really interesting reflections on time in this,
Well, thank you.
especially how it relates to, faith and purpose. It's actually amazing how much wisdom is packed into, this way of looking at things.
Yeah.
We're going to uncover some really cool stuff today, like how the Bible tackles time management.
Okay.
And this idea that time is actually a gift, right?
Right.
With a divine purpose woven into it.
It's not just something to fill up.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I want to jump right in. What I found really intriguing about this perspective is how it reframes how we think about our schedules,
Yeah.
our to-do lists. It's not about squeezing in more and more.
Yeah.
It's about aligning our actions with, a larger purpose.
It is. It's about aligning ourselves with God's will for our lives,
Yeah.
ultimately.
So let's unpack that a little. That verse from Ecclesiastes comes to mind. To everything there is a season and a time for every purpose under heaven. It just suggests this structure to time, almost like we're meant to find our rhythm within it.
Mm-hmm.
But how does that actually play out, right,
Yeah.
in our crazy, overscheduled lives?
It all starts with acknowledging that rhythm that you're talking about, it isn't dictated by our deadlines or our notifications.
Right.
It's about understanding that we're living on borrowed time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's entrusted to us to fulfill a purpose beyond our own agendas.
Oh.
So think of it like you've been handed a beautifully crafted instrument.
Okay.
You can just, bang on it randomly.
Right.
You would want to learn its nuances, its potential to create something beautiful.
That's such a powerful analogy.
Thank you.
It makes me think about all the ways we do just bang on that instrument of time, right? Scrolling endlessly through social media,
Yes.
getting lost in these meaningless conversations,
Yeah.
saying yes to things that don't truly matter, all those time wasters we're all guilty of.
Oh, absolutely.
So, and it's not about guilt tripping ourselves, right?
No. It's about recognizing that those behaviors often stem from a deeper place.
Oh, okay.
Maybe we're seeking connection,
Mm-hmm.
validation, or just a way to numb out.
Mm-hmm.
But when we're constantly filling our time with those distractions, we miss out on the opportunity to connect with something deeper, something more fulfilling.
So how do we break free from that cycle, right?
Yeah.
The source you shared emphasizes putting God first.
Right.
Using Matthew 6:33 as a guiding principle. Seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added to you. But what does that actually look like in practice? It's easy to say, but harder to do.
It's about weaving those spiritual practices into the fabric of our day, and not treating them like separate items on a to-do list.
Right.
Think about it. We make time for things that are important to us, right? We carve out space for our workouts, for our favorite shows.
Of course, yeah.
What if we approached our spiritual lives with the same level of intentionality?
Okay, so we're talking daily prayer, attending church, spending time in the Bible, not as obligations, but as opportunities to connect with something larger than ourselves.
Yes.
To tap into that source of strength and guidance.
And just like any relationship, the more we invest in it, the more it flourishes.
Yeah.
When we prioritize our relationship with God, it's not about deprivation. It's about aligning ourselves with a source of peace and purpose
Right.
that can actually fuel everything else we do.
That makes so much sense.
Yeah.
But, it's not just about our vertical relationship with God,
Yeah.
right? The source also talks about the importance of investing in those horizontal relationships, loving others as Christ loved us.
Absolutely. It's about shifting our focus from me time to we time. That quote from John 13:34, where Jesus says, "Love one another," isn't just a feel-good sentiment.
Right.
It's a call to action, an invitation to create space for meaningful connection
Okay.
with the people who matter most.
So we're talking quality time with family and friends, putting down our phones, truly listening, showing up for each other in ways that matter.
Exactly, yeah.
But it's also about setting boundaries,
Yeah.
right? To protect that precious time and energy
Yes, it is.
that we have to pour into those relationships.
It's about recognizing that sometimes the most loving thing we can do is to say no to certain commitments or distractions so we can truly be present with the people we love. It's
Yeah.
about quality over quantity,
Right.
making those moments count.
Okay, so we've talked about, prioritizing God, nurturing our closest relationships. But you also flagged the concept of service in the source material.
And I think that often gets overlooked in, discussions of time management.
It does. Service often feels like one more thing to add to our already overflowing plates.
Oh, I know.
But what if we viewed it as an opportunity to tap into our unique gifts and use them to make a tangible difference in the world? As 1 Peter 4:10 says, we're each called to be faithful stewards of God's grace in its various forms.
That's such a beautiful way to think about it. Instead of hoarding our talents or, feeling overwhelmed by the needs around us,
Right.
we can view service as a way to channel our energy outward, to become, conduits of love and compassion in a world that desperately needs it.
Yes, absolutely.
And it doesn't have to be grand gestures.
Yeah.
It could be, volunteering at your church, helping a neighbor in need, or simply offering a listening ear to someone who's struggling. Sometimes the smallest acts of service can have the greatest ripple effects.
You really can, yeah.
I love that. But we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about rest.
It's something we so often neglect. Pushing ourselves to the limit in the name of productivity or
Yes.
achievement.
Right.
But even God rested on the seventh day of creation,
He did.
setting an example for us.
That's right.
Rest isn't just about, catching up on sleep or vegging out in front of the TV.
No.
It's about creating space for stillness, for reflection, for reconnecting with ourselves and with God. Remember Jesus' words in Matthew 11:28, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." He's offering us a refuge,
Yes.
a place to lay down our burdens and find renewal.
It's about obedience, too.
Yeah.
When we rest, we're obeying God's command.
Yeah, and that rest can be so transformative, can't it?
It can.
It allows us to return to our work, to our relationships, to our lives with renewed energy and purpose.
Yes.
It's like hitting the reset button and reminding ourselves that we're not machines,
Yeah.
We're human beings who need time to recharge and reconnect with our source of strength.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's not selfish to prioritize rest.
Mm.
It's actually an act of stewardship,
Okay.
of honoring the precious gift of time that we've been given.
Right.
It allows us to show up more fully for ourselves and for others.
So we've covered a lot of ground here, from
Yeah.
the big picture concept of time as a gift to the importance of prioritizing God, nurturing relationships, serving others, and embracing rest. But the source material also offers some very practical steps for managing our time more effectively.
It does, yes.
And I'm excited to dive into those next.
Let's do it. We're about to uncover some tangible tools
Okay.
that can help us move from feeling overwhelmed to empowered, from simply reacting to our schedules to proactively creating a life that reflects our deepest values.
I like that.
Yeah. Before we jump into those practical steps, I think it's worth pausing to reflect on the fleeting nature of time.
Okay.
The source you shared includes this powerful verse from James 4:14. You are a mist that appears for a little while and then vanishes.
Wow, that really hits home. It's a sobering reminder that we're not guaranteed tomorrow.
Right.
That our time here is precious and finite. Makes you want to grab hold of each moment and make it count, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's not about living in fear or anxiety.
Right.
It's about embracing the present moment and making choices that align with our values, our purpose, and ultimately, God's plan for our lives.
So how do we do that? How do we, ensure that our time reflects what truly matters to us, not just what's urgent or, demanding our attention?
It starts with an honest self-assessment. What are we actually spending our time on?
Okay.
Is it bringing us joy? Is it helping us grow spiritually? Is it making a positive impact on the world around us?
Yeah, that's such a crucial point. It's so easy to get caught up in the busyness of life and lose sight of what truly matters. We need to step back and ask ourselves those tough questions.
We do.
To see if our actions are actually aligned with our values.
It's not about beating ourselves up if we're not where we want to be.
Yeah.
It's about acknowledging those areas where we can grow, where we can make adjustments.
Yeah.
And then taking those steps one day at a time.
I love that. It's not about striving for perfection, but making progress,
Yeah.
About aligning our lives with God's will, even if it's just one small step at a time.
Exactly. And remember, we're not on this journey alone. We have God's grace to guide us.
Yeah.
To strengthen us.
Yeah.
To help us overcome those obstacles and make choices that honor him.
Speaking of choices, I'm really curious to dive into those practical steps you mentioned.
Okay.
What are some tangible things we can do to manage our time more effectively, to move from feeling overwhelmed to empowered?
Okay, so the first step is all about setting priorities,
Okay.
but not just in the typical to-do list sense.
Right.
It's about starting each day with prayer, asking God for guidance as we plan our time, seeking His wisdom to discern what truly matters.
That's such a powerful, powerful shift in perspective. Instead of approaching our schedules from a place of stress and scarcity, we're inviting God into the process.
Yes.
You know, we're seeking His guidance to make wise choices about how we spend our time.
And once we have that overarching sense of direction, then we can start breaking down our day into smaller, more manageable chunks.
Okay.
You know, maybe it's creating a to-do list using a planner or blocking out time for specific tasks. But the key is to do it with intention, aligning those tasks with our values and with God's purpose for our lives.
You know, I've found that simply writing things down can make such a difference. It helps me get those swirling thoughts out of my head onto paper.
Right.
So I can prioritize what needs to get done and let go of the rest.
Absolutely. And that leads us to the second step, limiting distractions. We live in a world that's constantly vying for our attention, right? From social media notifications to email alerts to the endless stream of news and information, it's no wonder we feel scattered and overwhelmed.
Oh, I feel that. I'm constantly battling that urge to check my phone to see what's happening online. You know, it's like a constant tug of war for my attention.
It is. The key is to become aware of those distractions, to identify the things that tend to pull us off track,
Okay.
and then to create boundaries around them. Maybe it's setting specific times for checking email or social media or turning off notifications, or even designating certain areas of our homes as tech-free zones.
I've actually started putting my phone in another room when I'm working,
Yeah, wow.
and it's been amazing how much more focused I am. It's like those distractions just melt away when I'm not constantly tempted to check them.
That's fantastic. It's about taking those proactive steps to create an environment that supports our goals and helps us stay focused on what matters most. And sometimes that involves saying no. This is the third step.
Okay.
And it can be one of the most challenging, especially for those of us who are natural people pleasers.
Oh, I know that struggle all too well. It's so easy to say yes out of obligation or a desire to be helpful, but I'm learning that saying no to certain commitments can actually free us up to say yes to the things that truly align with our values and our purpose.
Exactly. The source you shared reminds us that even Jesus withdrew from crowds to pray and rest. He understood the importance of setting boundaries, of protecting his time and energy so he could fully embrace his mission.
That's a powerful reminder. It gives us permission to say no without feeling guilty or selfish.
It does.
It's about recognizing that our time and energy are limited resources.
Yeah.
And we need to be wise stewards of them.
We do. The fourth step builds on that idea of stewardship by encouraging us to use tools and strategies to track our time and make progress toward our goals.
Okay.
It could be as simple as using a planner or a journal, or maybe it's a time tracking app on our phone.
I'm a big fan of visual tools, so I love using a planner to map out my week to see where my time is going
Yeah.
and where I can create space for those things that are important to me.
It's all about finding what works for you, what helps you stay organized and on track. The key is to make it a habit, to build it into your routine so it becomes second nature.
Okay.
And the final step is one that's often overlooked, but so incredibly powerful. Practicing gratitude.
Okay.
It's about taking a moment each day to thank God for the gift of time, to reflect on how we've used it, and to appreciate the opportunities we have to love, serve, and grow.
Gratitude is a game changer, you know.
It is.
When we shift our focus from what we lack to what we have, from what's stressing us out to what's bringing us joy, it transforms our entire experience of time.
It really does.
I've found that when I start my day with a gratitude practice, even if it's just 5 minutes of journaling or simply saying thank you for the blessings in my life,
Yeah.
it sets a positive tone for the entire day.
Yeah.
I'm more present, I'm more patient, I'm more appreciative of the little things.
That's beautiful. And it's a reminder that even in the midst of our busy lives, there's always something to be grateful for.
Yeah.
Even in those moments when we feel overwhelmed or discouraged, we can choose to focus on the good, to acknowledge the gifts that surround us and to trust that God is working all things together for our good.
You know, we've covered so much ground in this deep dive.
We have.
You know, from the theological foundations of time management to the practical steps we can take to make every moment count. And through it all, we've been reminded that time is a gift,
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
a precious resource to be cherished and used wisely.
It's been a joy unpacking these insights with you.
Yeah.
I hope our listener feels empowered to approach their time with intention, with purpose, with a renewed sense of gratitude.
Before we wrap up, I want to leave our listener with one final thought-provoking question, something to ponder as they go about their day.
Right.
What one small change can you make today to use your time in a way that aligns with your values and brings you closer to what truly matters?
That's a beautiful question to sit with. Remember, even the smallest changes can have a ripple effect, creating a more meaningful and fulfilling life.
Yeah, the source material touches on this idea that our time here on Earth, it's not just about checking things off a list.
Right.
It's about creating something that lasts, a legacy that reflects what we valued and how we chose to spend that precious time we were given. That's a really profound thought. It makes you consider the bigger picture, doesn't it? What will people remember us for? How did we impact the world around us? You know, it shifts the focus from just managing time to making it meaningful.
Exactly. It's not about, achieving some grand feat or leaving behind a monument with our name on it.
Right.
It's about the small everyday choices we make, the way we love,
Yeah.
the way we serve, the way we reflect God's light in the world. Those are the things that truly leave a mark.
It makes me think about, those people who've really impacted my life. It's not their accomplishments I remember most,
Yeah.
but their kindness, their generosity, their willingness to invest their time in others.
That's the beauty of a life well lived.
Yeah.
A life where time is viewed as a gift to be shared,
Yeah.
not just a resource to be hoarded. It's about leaving the world a little brighter, a little kinder, a little more loving than we found it.
We've talked a lot about the serious side of time management, but I think it's important to remember that it's not all about being disciplined and productive all the time.
Right.
There's also room for joy, for spontaneity, for simply enjoying the moment.
I couldn't agree more. In fact, I think those moments of joy and laughter are essential for a balanced and fulfilling life. When we're constantly striving and pushing ourselves, we can lose sight of the beauty and the wonder that surround us in every moment.
It's like giving ourselves permission to let go of the need to control every minute of our day.
Yeah.
And just embrace the journey, Find a light in the unexpected.
Yeah.
To savor those moments of connection and laughter with loved ones, to appreciate the simple pleasures that life has to offer.
And it's interesting, when we approach life with that kind of open-heartedness and willingness to embrace joy, I think it actually makes us more effective stewards of our time. We're not as easily stressed or overwhelmed. We're more present and engaged in whatever we're doing.
I love that. It's like that old saying, work hard, play hard, Yeah. When we allow ourselves time to rest, to recharge, to simply enjoy life, we actually come back to our work and responsibilities with more energy, more focus, and more creativity.
It's a win-win situation. We're taking care of ourselves, and we're also able to give our best to the things and people that matter most. It's about recognizing that time is not just something to be managed, but something to be savored, something to be grateful for.
This deep dive has been an incredible journey of exploration.
It has.
We've covered so much ground, from the theological foundations of time management to the practical steps we can take to make every moment count. And through it all, we've been reminded that time is a gift, a precious resource to be cherished and used wisely.
It's been a joy unpacking these insights with you.
Absolutely.
I hope our listener feels empowered to approach their time with intention, with purpose, with a renewed sense of gratitude.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. We'll see you next time for another exploration of a topic that matters. Until then, remember that your time is a gift and it's up to you to make it count.